Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Breaking news is unfolding across the Middle East as Iran has issued a strong demand calling for the United States to withdraw all its military forces from the region. This declaration comes as the Israel Hamas war continues to intensify, creating a dangerous ripple effect throughout the region. Iran has accused the United States of fueling the conflict by supporting Israel both militarily and politically. And now Tehran says the time has come for American troops to leave once and for all. According to Iranian officials, the presence of U.S. forces is the main source of instability in the Middle East, and their departure would open the path toward regional peace. In recent days, Iranian state media has released several statements from high-ranking officials, including the foreign minister and top military commanders, warning Washington that continued interference will not be tolerated. Tehran believes that the United States is directly involved in Israel's operations in Gaza through intelligence sharing, weapons transfers, and strategic coordination. Iranian leaders claim that every civilian casualty in Gaza is partly the result of American support, and that Iran will not stay silent in the face of what it calls aggression against the Palestinian people. This warning has raised fears that the conflict could soon expand beyond Gaza and into a direct confrontation between the United States and Iran. Crowds have taken to the streets in Tehran, Baghdad, Beirut, and other cities across the Middle East, carrying signs demanding an end to American presence in the region. Protesters are burning U.S. flags, chanting anti-American slogans, and declaring solidarity with Palestinians. In Gaza, reports indicate that Iran-backed militias are increasing their activities in Iraq and Syria, raising the possibility of attacks on U.S. bases in the coming days. Iranian state television aired footage of military drills showcasing missiles, drones, and naval forces, sending a clear message that Iran is ready to respond if Washington refuses to comply with its demands. Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. officials have downplayed Iran's threats, but the Pentagon has quietly increased its security posture across American installations in the Middle East. Additional air defense systems have been deployed to bases in Iraq, Kuwait, and Jordan, while U.S. warships continue to patrol the Persian Gulf. The White House insists that American troops are there to protect allies and maintain stability, but Iran views their presence as occupation. Tehran argues that the U.S. uses the fight against terrorism as an excuse to control oil routes and pressure governments that oppose its policies. The situation is escalating quickly, with both sides accusing each other of destabilizing the region. Iranian leaders are portraying this moment as a turning point in Middle Eastern history, a chance to push out foreign powers and allow regional nations to take control of their own destiny. Speeches from top Iranian clerics emphasize that resistance against the United States and Israel is a religious and moral duty, while state media outlets highlight images of American bases surrounded by local resistance fighters. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has issued statements declaring that its forces are prepared for any confrontation, and that they will respond decisively to any attack on Iran or its allies. International reactions have been mixed. Russia and China have expressed support for Iran's call to remove U.S. forces, while European nations have urged restraint. Diplomats are warning that a single miscalculation could ignite a much larger regional war stretching from the Mediterranean to the Persian Gulf. As the Israel-Hamas conflict rages on, the risk of spillover is growing, with Hezbollah in Lebanon and Shia militias in Iraq, both signaling readiness to engage if Iran gives the order. Intelligence sources suggest that Iranian weapons shipments to allied groups have increased dramatically in the past week, including advanced drones and surface-to-air missiles. The United States has been deeply entangled in Middle Eastern conflicts for decades, but this demand from Iran represents one of the boldest challenges to its presence yet. Tehran's strategy appears to be uniting regional forces under a single anti-American banner, while using the Israel-Hamas war as the rallying point. Iranian officials say that the U.S. is losing influence and that nations are no longer willing to accept Western dominance. The message from Tehran is clear: The Middle East belongs to the people of the Middle East, not foreign armies and their interventions, as global attention focuses on Gaza. Iran is leveraging the chaos to expand its influence across the region. Its allies are becoming more active. Yemen's Houthi rebels have threatened to target American vessels in the Red Sea, while militias in Syria warn that they will attack any U.S. military convoy moving near their territories. Iranian media claims that American soldiers are increasingly nervous and that their presence in the region is becoming unsustainable. Tehran's narrative is designed to project strength to show that the era of American control is ending and a new regional order is emerging, one led by countries opposed to U.S. and Israeli influence. Inside Iran, there is growing confidence that the United States is overstretched, facing crises not only in the Middle East, but also in Europe and Asia. Iranian commentators argue that Washington cannot afford another major conflict and will eventually be forced to retreat. This sentiment has been echoed by political analysts across the region who see Iran's demand as both a challenge and a calculated test of American resolve. The Biden administration is under pressure domestically and internationally to prevent further escalation, yet leaving the Middle East could be perceived as a sign of weakness by allies and adversaries alike. The situation remains volatile as both sides engage in a war of words with real military consequences lurking beneath the surface. American reconnaissance drones continue to monitor Iranian movements while Tehran's air defense systems remain on high alert. Iranian officials have hinted that any strike against their interests in Iraq, Syria, or Lebanon will be met with a direct response against American assets in the Persian Gulf. This warning has caused concern among shipping companies and oil traders who fear that tensions could disrupt vital energy routes and send global oil prices soaring. In Gaza, the humanitarian crisis deepens, and Iran continues to frame its stance as a moral defense of the Palestinian cause. Iranian media portrays the United States as complicit in the suffering of civilians, while Israel remains defiant, saying its operations will continue until Hamas is completely dismantled. Iranian-backed groups across the region view the war as an opportunity to weaken both Israel and the U.S. presence simultaneously by increasing pressure through coordinated resistance attacks and political messaging. They aim to shift the balance of power permanently. Observers say this confrontation is not only about military control, but also about ideology and influence. The United States envisions a Middle East aligned with Western interests, while Iran seeks to build a regional coalition independent of American power. The competition for dominance is now out in the open, and every move carries high stakes. The slightest provocation could trigger retaliation, leading to a full-scale conflict that neither side truly wants, but may find impossible to avoid. Regional. Governments like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt are watching closely. They fear that the fallout from this standoff could spread instability across their borders. Some have called for diplomatic talks, while others quietly prepare for the worst behind. The scenes there are reports of back-channel negotiations involving Oman and Qatar, who are trying to mediate between Washington and Tehran to prevent a direct confrontation, yet both sides continue to issue statements that leave little room for compromise in Tehran. The message is being repeated across television and social media platforms that Iran will not back down. This is portrayed as a defining moment for regional independence. For decades, Iran has framed its foreign policy around resistance to Western influence, and now the Israel Hamas war has given it a new stage to assert that vision. Officials say the United States has used chaos to justify its occupation, and now that time is over. Washington, on the other hand, argues that its presence is necessary to prevent greater instability and protect global security interests. Analysts predict that the coming weeks will be critical as the United States weighs its options between military deterrence and diplomatic pressure. Both paths carry risks. If Washington escalates militarily, it could unite Iran's allies in retaliation. If it withdraws, it could weaken American influence and embolden Tehran's regional ambitions. The Biden administration must now balance deterrence with diplomacy while avoiding a repeat of past mistakes that have defined U.S. policy in the region for generations. As global powers react to this development, the stakes could not be higher. Israel continues its operations in Gaza. Hezbollah threatens to open a northern front, and Iran's allies mobilize across multiple countries. The demand for American withdrawal may be more than a political message. It could be a prelude to a new phase of regional warfare and realignment. This is not just about Gaza or Israel, it is about who will shape the future of the Middle East.